Hello guys, it's Josh from History with Josh. Today we are looking at how Hitler became dictator. In the last video we looked at how he did rise to power and the Wall Street crash. Now, Hitler became Chancellor on the 30th of January 1933. Within 18 months, he was the supreme dictator of Germany. For the exam, you'll need to know about three key events: the Reichstag fire, the Enabling Act, and the Night of the Long Knives. Hitler's main problems in 1933. Enemies within the Reichstag. Communists. Communists were the second biggest party. Working class still voted for them. Hitler needed working class support. Enemies from above. Hindenburg. Hindenburg hated Hitler and could sack him at any time, but Hitler needed the powers of the president to be a dictator. 3. Enemies in his own party. Ernst Röhm and the SA. Röhm wanted Hitler to make the SA the official army of Germany. The regular army was horrified at this idea and would rebel if it happened. But let's look at the three key events. Start with the Reichstag fire. Hitler was lucky. Less than a month after he became Chancellor, the Reichstag was burned down in an arson attack. Inside it, police found a young Dutchman called Marinus van der Lubbe. Most importantly, van der Lubbe had once been a communist. Van der Lubbe confessed and was executed, but Hitler immediately claimed that he had been part of a huge communist conspiracy to destroy the German government. Hitler went to Hindenburg and asked to use Article 48 to deal with the emergency. Police were given emergency powers to search houses, confiscate property, and imprison without trial. Hitler also brought in censorship, so he could decide what the papers could and could not print. The Communist Party was made illegal, and the SA went on a spree of violence, beating up communists. How Hitler benefited from the Reichstag fire. He was able to use Article 48 for the first time. Hitler had powers over the police. Hitler looked like the defender of the nation. He banned the Communist Party, and now the working class was more likely to vote for Nazis. There were street fights between the SA and communists. Give Hitler an emergency to use Article 48 again. So that's the first key event. The second key event is the Enabling Act. Hitler had been allowed to use Article 48 for the first time, but to become a dictator, he needed to be able to use it without having to get Hindenburg's permission. Hitler used the street violence, his own SA men attacking communists, as an excuse for the Enabling Act, which basically gave most of Hindenburg's power to Hitler. This was a change in the Weimar Constitution, so it needed 75% of the Reichstag to vote for it. 30% were already Nazis. The SA intimidated, threatened, and bribed a huge number of politicians. The Nazis sang the national anthem when the other parties started arguing about the new law. The act was passed, and Hitler was almost totally in charge. How this Enabling Act helped Hitler to become a dictator. He can use Article 48 all the time. He never has to get the Reichstag to agree with him. He had power over police, taxes, economy, and calling elections. Only Hitler can now make new laws. He can also change the constitution again or scrap it anytime he likes. All trade unions are banned in May 1933, and Hitler bans all other political parties in July 1933. Hitler wins the next election as the only candidate. And the third key event is the Night of the Long Knives. By 1934, Hitler almost had total power. However, Hindenburg was still alive and he had the support of the army. The German army could easily overthrow Hitler if Hindenburg wanted them to. Hitler also had the problem of Ernst Röhm. The SA had 2.5 million men, while the army only had 100,000. But the people of Germany loved the army. Röhm wanted the SA to become Germany's official army, but the idea of Röhm being their leader horrified the army generals. They would not support Hitler if he did this. But Röhm threatened to rebel if he didn't. Why Hitler chose to support the army? The army was much better trained and disciplined. The army was the only organisation that could remove Hitler from power. It had the support of big businesses, the same people that funded the Nazis. Hitler needed a strong army to be able to invade some of the other countries. So, the Night of the Long Knives, 30th of June 1934. Hitler wanted Röhm and the SA to break up and join the army. Röhm wanted the army to break up and join the SA. Röhm threatened to rebel against Hitler if he didn't get what he wanted. Hitler chose to support the army and sent his SS men to the SA barracks. 200 SA leaders were arrested and Röhm was given a pistol to shoot himself with. He refused and was executed. That is very important. That he refused. He refused to shoot himself, So they shot him, and that's what eventually led to his death. But Hindenburg. So the army were thankful to Hitler for removing the threat of Rom. When Hindenburg died a month later, all army soldiers took an oath of loyalty to Hitler. Hitler didn't bother having an election for new president. He just combined the position of Chancellor and President to himself, calling himself Führer. But it allowed him to command Führer when Hindenburg dies because army now supports him. Completed loyalty of the army with an oath. Embarrassing and out-of-date essay removed gives Hitler more support from ordinary Germans. Makes Hitler appear ruthless and become more feared among other Nazi leaders. And gives Hitler a chance to build up his new group, the SS. Pause this video and have a look at this source. Okay. So from section 2, which is all of Hitler, we've got a few questions on the Munich Putsch. Briefly describe the events of the Munich Putsch, 5 marks. Explain what happened in the Munich Putsch, 5 marks. Why was the Munich Putsch not a complete disaster for the Nazis, 7 marks. Explain why Hitler attempted a push in 1923, 7 marks. How far was the Munich Putsch a disaster for Hitler? Explain your answer, 8 marks. Nazis before 1929. Why did the Nazi Party have so little success before 1929? 7 marks. If you want to take a screenshot of those 6 questions, please do, and come back and answer them at another time. Hitler becoming Chancellor. What did the Nazis promise people in the election campaigns of 1932 to 1933? 5 marks. Why did the Weimar Republic eventually fail? 8 marks. Did the Nazis come to power in 1933 only because they promised to make Germany great once more? Explain your answer, 8 marks. And Hitler's consolidation of power, 1933 to 1934. Explain why the Reichstag fire was useful to Hitler. If you want to take screenshots of these, please do. 2. What was more important in allowing Hitler to strengthen his power in 1933 to 1934? The Enabling Act or the Night of Long Knives? Explain your answer, 8 marks. Explain what Hitler did to make himself dictator in 1933 to 1935, 5 marks. Why did Hitler order the Night of Long Knives in 1934? 7 marks. And explain how Hitler managed to strengthen his power between 1933 and 1934, 5 marks. If you want to take screenshots of these, please do. And that is the end of this video. In the next video, we'll be looking at life in Nazi Germany, which is kind of section 3. If you enjoyed this video, subscribe, leave a like, and check out the playlist on everything between 1890 to 1945 Germany. Cheers for watching. See you in the next one. Goodbye.